So for clock problems, 90% of all previous clock problems that appeared in all board exams, that's my estimate, is solvable by Padilla's formula. I formulated or derived this one. Okay? The M is 2 over 11 times the angle between the hands of the clock, the hour and the minute hand, during the reference time, plus and or minus the angle during the required time. This angle during the reference time is H times 30 degrees. What is M and what is H? If the time is, let us say, 8:24, this 8 is our hour, this 24 is our minute. For example, we are asked to find the angle between the hands of the clock during 8:24. RH is 8, RM is 24. Substituting to this equation, we will have here 24 equals 2 over 11 times H times 30, that is 8 times 30 degrees, plus or minus angle during the required time, during 8:24. Yun yung hinahanap. Let me call this angle theta. If you solve this equation, you have 24 times 11 over 2 minus 240 degrees. You compute that, and you'll get here minus 108 equals plus or minus theta. So, hindi pwedeng negative yung theta. So, from here, ang mag-prevail sa kanya yung minus. Para theta is equal to 108 degrees. You follow? So, at 8:24, the hour hand is here. The minute hand is here. Then, this is the angle theta between them. And that is 108 degrees. Kuha nyo? Now, saan nakuha yung H times 30? Ganito. Look here at the clock. At 12 o'clock, the hour hand and minute hands are together. Then this angle is 0. Okay? At 1 o'clock, your H is 1. Times 30, that would be 30 degrees. At 1 o'clock, the angle between the hands of the clock is 30. At 2 o'clock, H is 2. Times 30, 60 degrees. At 2 o'clock, the angle between the hands of the clock is 60. 2 times 30. At 3 o'clock, H is 3. Times 30, 90. At 3 o'clock, the angle between the hands of the clock is 90 degrees. At 4 o'clock, H is 4. Times 30, 120. At 4 o'clock, the angle between the hands of the clock is 120 degrees. At 10 o'clock, H is 10. Times 30, 300 degrees. The angle between the hour hand and the minute hand is 300 degrees. So, this one is simply H times 30. So, Padilla's formula, M is 2 over 11 times H times 30 plus or minus angle during the required time. Okay? Whenever you encounter the phrase, hands of the clock, we are referring only to the hour and the minute hand. The second hand will not be considered unless and except specified. The question is, at what time after 3 o'clock will the hour and minute hand be together? So, at 3 o'clock, of course, the angle between the hands of the clock is 90 degrees. So both of them will move until such time that they are together. So, at that position, what is the time? That is the requirement. So, let me ask you, anong oras yan pasado? Pasado alas 3. So, the H is 3, the minute is M. So, we need to solve Rm. Rm is solvable by Padilla's formula. By Padilla's formula, Rm is equal to 2 over 11 times H times 30. So, H is 3 times 30 plus or minus angle during the required time. And the angle between the hands of the clock during this time is said to be, they're together. What's the angle between them? So, this is 0. So, 90 times 2 over 11 times M. You'll get here M is going to be 16.36. So, this is in minutes. So, therefore, the time after 3 o'clock when they will be together is alas 3:16.36. This is the required time. What about the next question? At what time after 3 o'clock will they be opposite each other? Now, question, when they're opposite each other, that position, what time is that approximately? It's past what time? It's past still 3 o'clock. The time is alas 3. The hour, the required is just M. Padilla's formula gives you the required minute. So, using Padilla's formula, Rm is 2 over 11 times H times 30. Your H is 3 times 30 plus or minus angle during the required time. During the required time, the minute and the hour hand are opposite each other. So, what is the angle between them if they are directly opposite each other? Correct. That is 180 degrees. So, you try to solve this, your M is going to be equal to, if you use minus here, you'll get a negative value. M cannot be negative. So, you just take the positive value. You calculate this, and you'll get M here to be 49.09. So, therefore, the time when they will be opposite each other is at alas 3 M 49.09. This is the required time. Sir, saan ginagamit yung minus? Let me answer that using this next problem. At what time after 3 o'clock will the hour and minute hands be at 30 degrees angle? So, it means the angle during the required time is 30. Okay. So, your M by Padilla's formula is 2 over 11 times, this is H times 30. Your H is 3 because it's after 3 o'clock, times 30 plus and minus, this is 30 degrees. So, solving this, when you use the plus, you'll get 21.81. But when you use the minus, you'll solve this and you'll get M is 10.91. Both of them are positive. It means after 3 o'clock, there will be 2 times or 2 occasions when the angle between R and minute hands will be at 30 degrees angle. The first one is at alas 3:10.91 and the second is at 3:21.81. So it means the required condition will happen or will be satisfied twice after 3 o'clock. The first one is this. The second one is at this time, 3:21.81. What if this problem appears in the board exam? Which one shall we answer? Simple. If the one in the choices is this, you answer this. If the one in the choices is this, you answer this. Sir, what if both are in the choices? Mahirap ng tanong, no? So, ganitong gawin mo. Una, dasal ka. Pagkatapos mo magdasal, sagutan mo. Pero kung tatanungin niyo ako, no? Between the two, if it is not specified, then use the hidden phrase in a clock problem for the first time. So if not specified, then you choose the one for the first time. And the first time, the condition is satisfied is at 3:10.91. Is that clear? You will see this conventional formula for clock problems in books. Iba lang siguro yung letter, pero basically, the form is the same. So, H is M over 12, and S is 60M. The objective is to convert S into M, and H into M, and so for M. As I have told you, M is the minutes in the required time. So, H here is the distance traveled by the R hand. M is the distance traveled by the minute hand. While S is the distance traveled by the second hand. Now, saan natin nakuha itong formulas na to? Actually, kahit hindi mo i-memorize, alam mo yan, college pa or elementary pa actually. Okay? Ito siya. If we consider the movement of the hands of the clock, the minute and the R hand, let me remove first the second hand. So if we consider the R hand and the minute hands, from 12 to 1 o'clock, at 12 o'clock, the minute hand points to 12. The R hand also points to 12. From 12 to 1 o'clock, at 1 o'clock, the R hand will move to this position. So the distance traveled by the R hand is from here to here. So this is R H. While our minute hand will travel from here to here. This is our M. If we will consider it in terms of this partition, the R hand is divided into 12 partitions. So if we get M is to H, for every one partition by the R hand, the minute hand had it at 12. So from here, we can say that H is M over 12. Okay? So you bring this up, you bring this down. So you get here, H is equal to M over 12. That formula. Now, if we will consider on the other hand, the second hand and the minute hand, let me remove first the R hand. From 12 o'clock to 12:01. At 12 o'clock, the second hand points to 12. The minute hand points to 12. The R hand points also to 12. Remember that the whole clock is divided further into small divisions. So each of this is divided into 5. The entire clock is divided into 60 small divisions. From 12 o'clock to 12:01, the minute hand will move from here to the first line. This is the distance traveled by the minute hand in 1 minute. But the second hand traveled one complete revolution or 60 small partitions. So if I'm going to write the ratio of S to M, for every 60 partitions of the second hand, our minute hand covered or traveled only one partition. So we will have here S is going to be 60 times M. So this is this equation. The second hand travels 60 times the distance traveled by the minute hand, while the R hand travels only 1/12 that of the minute hand. You follow? This next problem says, a liaison officer left the office at past 2 o'clock. The problem did not tell us the exact time he left. It only says past 2 o'clock. So it means the time when he left was alas dos unknown. Let me call this M1. If it is past 2 o'clock, the R hand points beyond 2, between 2 and 3. Next statement, after 2 to 3 hours later, it also did not tell us the exact space of time or span of time when he was out of the office, between 2 and 3 hours. Not less than 2 hours, not more than 3 hours. He returned. The problem says, when he returned, he noticed that the hands of the clock were interchanged. I would interpret this as exactly interchanged or change in position or exchange in position. Exactly. So the question now here is, what is the exact time he left and the exact time he returned? Now remember the significance of the R. This one. This is your H. If he was out for 2 to 3 hours later, if beyond 2 hours, 2 plus 2, 4, or almost 3 hours, it could be between 4 and 5. Why? Here. The problem says the hands of the clock were interchanged in position. It means if this is the position of the R hand when he left, when he returned, that position is occupied by the minute hand. Yung dating pwesto ng R hand, naging pwesto ng minute hand. At yung dating pwesto ng minute hand, yun yung magiging pwesto ng R hand. Let us find that out. If this is the position when he left, 1 hour after this, our R hand will be exactly 30 degrees away. 2 hours after that, it will be exactly 60 degrees away. 3 hours after that, it will be exactly 90 degrees away. Right? So, the R hand after 2 to 3 hours could fall between 4 and 5 or between 5 and 6. Remember that the R hand tells us the H. Kuha niya? So, the 3 hours mark, the exactly 3 hours mark is this one, exactly 90 degrees away. The 2 hours mark after he left was exactly 60 degrees away. This is the 2 hours mark. The problem says he was out from 2 to 3 hours, between 4 and 5 or between 5 and 6. Now, which of the two is correct? At this point, we cannot tell which one is correct. So if you encountered in the problem or in the board exam, a problem wherein there are two possibilities. One is correct and you know that the other is wrong, but you do not know which is which. What are you going to do? In this situation, you are forced to make an assumption. But when you make an assumption, always remember that as soon as you discover that the assumption is wrong, right then and there, you've got to stop. Pag nakita mo ng mali, huwag mo nang ituloy, di ba? Parang halimbawa, inassume mo na yung boyfriend mo, tapat. Na-discover mo, hindi. Anong gagawin mo? Tuloy mo pa rin dahil mahal mo? Hindi. Right then and there, you stop. Because that is wrong. A wrong assumption can never yield a correct answer. Okay? So, balik na tayo dito ha, kung saan pa tayo mapunta. So, let us make an assumption that when he returned, our R-hand is between 4 and 5. Pero between 2 and 3 hours. Sabihin natin nandito. If this is the position of the R-hand when he returned, so it means that is the position of the minute hand when he left. Let me do a quick check. This is alas 2:20 plus. 20 plus, right? Because this is 20, this is 25. It's 20 plus. Now, while this one is alas 4, between 2 and 3, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Alas 4, 10 plus. Now, according to the problem, he was out from 2 to 3 hours. So, 2 hours after this would be 4:20 plus. But this one is 4:10 plus. This is before the second hour. Meaning, this cannot be correct because that is under 2 hours. So, here, we already discovered and proven that that assumption is wrong. What do we do when we discover that the assumption is wrong? You stop. Okay? Pag nalaman mong mali ang assumption mo, you stop. That's waste of time. Masasaktan ka lang yan. Di ba? Or dito, babagsak ka. Di ba? Okay. So, So let us correct our assumption. It must be, when he returned, the R-hand must be between 5 and 6 but not beyond the 3 hours mark. So let us say that the R-hand was here. So it means if this is the position of the R-hand when he returned, that is the same position of the minute hand when he left. Let us have a quick check. This is alas 2 beyond 5. This is the 25th minute, 30 minutes. Alas 2, 25 plus. While this one is beyond 5, so this is alas 5. This is beyond 2, which is the 10 minutes. Alas 5, 10 plus. Look here. 2 hours after this is 4:25 plus. 3 hours after this is 2 plus 3, 5:25 plus. If this is to be correct, this must be between the second hour and the third hour. Between 4:25 and 5:25 is 5:10, between 4:25 and 5:25. Yes. So far, so good. Correct? So, let us continue. In this position, the R-hand is beyond 5. This is alas 5. The minute hand is 10 plus. Pero we don't need yung may plus. We need the exact time. So let me call this M2. So M1 is the minutes here. M2 is the minutes here. We need M1 and M2, the exact value. Before I set up the key equation, let me re-establish the given condition that they are exactly interchanging position. Now, this is alas dos pasado. So, our reference time is alas dos eksakto. At 2 o'clock, the hour hand points to 2. The minute hand points to 12. Right? From 2 o'clock, the distance traveled by the hour hand is from here to here. So, this is your H1. Let me put it outside so that it will be clear. So this is our H1. Well, from 2 o'clock, the distance traveled by the minute hand is from here to here. So, from here to here, this is our M1. While for this one, it's alas 5 pasado or past 5 o'clock. The reference time is alas 5. At 5 o'clock, the hour hand points to 5, while the minute hand points to 12. From 5 o'clock to 5 M2, the distance traveled by the hour hand is from here to here. So therefore, this is going to be RH2. Now, the minute hand traveled from here to here. So therefore, the distance traveled by the minute hand is this one. This is your M2. Okay? We need M1, we need M2. But take note that the position of the hour hand here is the position of the minute hand here. So if this is H1, this must also be H1. The position of the minute hand here and the position of the hour hand here are the same. So if this is H2, this must also be H2. Right? Okay. Let me establish the equation. Our equation here is starting from 12. Starting from 12 going to this, as I told you, use minutes. From here to here is 25 minutes. Plus H2 is equal to M1, right? 25 minutes plus H2 is the same as M1. Let us move to this one. From 12 o'clock to 2, this is 10 minutes. 10 minutes plus H1 is the same as M2. So we have 10 minutes plus H1 is equal to M2. But what is our H in terms of M? But what is our H in terms of M? But what is our H in terms of M? Remember, we need M1 and M2. What is H in terms of M? M over 12. So therefore, this is 25 plus M2 over 12 is M1, or M1 minus 112 of M2 is equal to 25. This is equation 1. On the other hand here, H1 is M1 over 12. So this is 10 plus M1 over 12 is equal to M2. Transpose this to the left, we will have here 112 of M1 minus M2 is equal to, move this to the right, minus 10. This is equation 2. So, two equations, two unknowns, you solve that by calculator or by any other means. Wag lang kopya, wag lang cheating, ha? You'll be able to get here, M1 is going to be equal to 26 0.01 minute, and your M2 is going to be 12.16. So therefore, the time he left was alas 2:26.01, and the time he returned was alas 5 M2. That is alas 5 M2 12.16. These are the time when he left and when he returned. You follow? Remember that H is M over 12, S is 60M. A while ago, I told you, when the phrase hands of the clock is mentioned, it is referring to hour and minute hand. In this problem, we consider the second hand because it was mentioned in the problem. Why didn't I use the Padilla's formula? Look here. If I'm going to use Padilla's formula in solving M1 here, M1 is going to be 2 over 11 times the angle during the reference time alas 2, that's 2 times 30 degrees, plus or minus angle during the required time. The angle here between hour hand and minute hand is this one. It is less than 90 degrees, but we do not know exactly how much it is. So, sabihin natin ito ay theta 1. This equation involves M1 and theta 1, right? Right. Okay. Now, let us move to this one. If we will solve M2 here using Padilla's formula, this is 2 over 11 times angle during the reference time, H times 30. This is past 5 o'clock, so H is 5 times 30 degrees plus or minus angle during the required time. Since our hour and minute hand are just interchanged in position, if we call this angle theta, this angle is also theta. Right? This is another equation between M2 and theta. I have theta, I have M2, I have M1. So, 2 equations, 3 unknowns. Kulang ng isang equation. So, paano natin kukunin yung isa pang equation? Ganito. You will have to consider this relationship and this relationship, establishing the relationship between H1 and M1 and H2. Here between H1 and M2. So, by using H1 is M1 over 12, H2 is M2 over 12. So, babalik din tayo sa equation na to. So, as a rule, ganito. If you use the Padilla's formula and there is only one unknown, you can directly solve the question. But if there are 2 unknowns left in the equation, like here, we have M1 and theta, we have M2 and theta, then sobra yung unknown mo, so it's better to shift to the conventional formula. So, gamitin lang to if there's only one unknown. Meaning, 2 known of the equation, M and H, M and theta, or H and theta. So, if 2 knowns, you can solve the unknown. Otherwise, just use the conventional formula. But remember, in using the conventional formula, express your units in minutes. No need to convert to degrees. Maliwanag? Okay. So for binomial expansion, the principle number 1 is that the number of terms in the expansion of a plus b to the n is n plus 1. What do you mean by that? For example, if I have x plus y squared, this is x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. N is 2, but there are 1, 2, 3. There are 3 terms. There are 2 plus 1 terms. Right? If I have here x plus y to the 1, your n is 1. So there are x plus y to the 1 is x plus y. So n is 1, there are 1, 2. There are 2 terms. Right? X plus y to the 0, this is 1. Any number raised to 0 is 1. So n is 0, 0 plus 1, 1. There is 1 term here. The number of terms in the expansion is n plus 1. Kuha? Now, yung binomial expansion, hindi lumalabas sa board exam yan. Yung gagamitan ng Pascal's triangle. Bakit? Mahaba kasi yung choices. The common variation encountered in the board exam is that involving the binomial formula, where we will be asked to find only one term of the expansion. Now, the r plus 1 term, what is r plus 1 term? Ganito yan. If you're asked to find the first term, this is r plus 1. So, r plus 1 is 1, so r is 0. So, for the first term, r is 0. If we're asked here to find the 32nd term, this 32 is your r plus 1. So, therefore, r is 31. Kuha? So, r is 1 lower than the order of term. If you're asked to find the last term, if there are n plus 1 terms in the expansion, then ibig sabihin the last term is the n plus 1 term. Right? Tama ba? Kasi there are n plus 1 terms, right? So therefore, the last term is the n plus 1 term. If the last term is the n plus 1 term and that is the r plus 1 term, by simple correspondence, n is r. So for the last term, n is r. For the first term, r is 0. You follow? Okay. So the r plus 1 term is NCR. This is combination of n things taken r at a time. All scientific calculators have this function. A n minus r, A is the first term, B is the second term. Now, if B is minus, if the second term is minus, include the minus in the B. So, it's NCR, A to the n minus r, B to the r. Parang crane or craner, no? And craner berry, parang cranberry, no? Okay. So, let us try to apply this in solving this problem. In the expansion of x squared minus 2y to the 10, find the middle term. If our n is 10, how many terms will there be in the expansion? N plus 1, 11 terms. If there are 11 terms, what is the order of the middle term? Pang-ilan yung middle term? Pang-anim. So, we are looking for the 6th term. If we're looking for the 6th term, what is r to make the 6? 1 lower than this. It must be 5. So, in here, for the 6th term, r is 5. Our n is 10. Right? Basta alam mo na yung R, tapos na yung problem. All we need to do is substitute. So, 5 plus 1, the sixth term, the middle term, is going to be n. Rn is 10. C, R, our R is 5. Ra is x squared raised to n, 10 minus 5. B, RB is minus 2y. Include the negative in your B. So, negative 2y to the R. Your R is 5. All we need to do is simplify this. So, 10C5 times negative 2 to the 5th, you'll get here minus 80, 64. X squared to the 10 minus 5, 5. X squared to the 5, this is x to the 10. Then y to the 5. So this is the middle term. You follow? Okay. Now, computing letter B number 1, we're asked here to find the term involving y cubed. So it means computing your r plus 1 term, we do not know yet pang ilan yung term with y cubed. But simplifying this, Rn is 10, because this is x squared minus 2y to the 10. This is n. 10c, r is a known. A is x squared to the n minus r. 10 minus r. B, rb, the second term is minus 2y. So minus 2y to the r. If we're going to substitute the value of r here, if this is known, we substitute here, we substitute here, and we substitute here. And we simplify. We will be getting here, 10cr is a constant, minus 2 to the r is also a constant. So what we will be getting here is a certain constant, constant times constant, 10cr times negative 2 to the r is a constant. X to certain exponent, y to certain exponent. But the simplified term that we need is y cubed. Or is involving y cubed. So what is the value of r here in order to produce y cubed? Wala namang ibang panggagalingan yung y cubed kundi yung y, right? Imposibleng ang mangga manggaling sa durian, di ba? So, what is the value of r to give you y cubed? By simple common sense, y to the r, y to the third, what is r? Your r is 3, correct? So, therefore, 3 plus 1, so this is the fourth term, is going to be equal to 10cr 10cr, r is 3, x squared to the 10 minus 3, minus 2y to the 3. So in your calculator, 10c3 times negative 2 to the 3. Compute that. You'll get here negative 960. X squared to the 7, that's x to the 14, and y to the 3. This is the term involving y cubed, the fourth term. Now, in B number 2, we are asked to find the term involving x to the 12. Again, the r plus 1 term is equal to n 10cr x squared to the n, which is 10 in this problem, minus r, b, which is negative 2y to the r. If you know r and you substitute here, here, and here, 100% sure you'll get a coefficient x to a certain exponent, y to a certain exponent, right? But the value of r that we want to be substituted here when we simplify must yield no any exponent for x. It must be x to the 12. So, what is the value of r that will give you x to the 12 when you simplify this? Natural. An x can only come from an x. It cannot come from a y, right? Tama. Ang durian, sa durian lang na puno, pwedeng manggaling. Correct? Alright. So, therefore, what is your r here in order to make this x to the 12? This is x squared. To make it x to the 12, this must be 6. 10 minus r to become 6, what is r? 4. So therefore, for this, r is 4. So we are solving for the 4 plus 1. We are solving for the fifth term. The fifth term is the term involving x to the 12. So simplifying 10c4 x squared to the 10 minus 4 times negative 2 y to the 4. You simplify. 10c4 times negative 2 to the 4. On your calculator, it will give you plus 3360 x squared to the 6 to the 12 y to the 4. So this is the term involving x to the 12. So always begin with a binomial formula and find your r. Clear?